it earlier. I don't know. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we are right.
Nikki, are you there? I see he's here. I see he is present, but it's like he has not.
I'm here.
Oh, great. Sawa.
Should we start or something?
Yes, please. We are live.
Okay. Briefly, my name is Nikki Odongo Omondi. I'm a member of the SAS-K group. So today's topic is belief v knowledge. I would like to put it that way: belief v knowledge. So we'll start with definition, and I'll give you a textbook definition, and then you guys might figure out which definition works for you. So if I belief, the definition of belief is a mental state where an individual holds a proposition to be true, and it doesn't require proof. So that's the caveat. You can hold a position and claim it or state it as true, but it doesn't need any justification. It's you just leave it at that. Knowledge is classically defined as justified true belief, and for centuries, and I mean previously, it meant that one, you believe; two, it's true; and three, you're justified in believing it. So that was, I would say, not the contemporary, but the pre-contemporary definition of knowledge. Faith, definition of faith is simple. Believing something is true without needing evidence. So faith doesn't even neglect or what will I say? Doesn't even require any justification. Doesn't require evidence. It's accepted as true without any caveats. So yeah, faith is unjustified belief, if I would call it unjustified belief, and that justification is needless. If I would go with opinion, I would say that opinion is a judgment or viewpoint, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. It is often personal and subjective. I will repeat: opinion, a judgment or viewpoint, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. It is often personal and subjective. If you've gotten the definitions, I would really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up or something, just to know that we are together. Any thumbs up? None? Okay. Okay, I see one. That means we're moving good. So our flyer
I think you are silent.
We can't hear you. Nikki, we can't hear you.
Okay. Shida ya mitambo. There's a problem. There's a technical difficulty. Oh, he's back.
Apologies. I had some technical hitch. I'm very sorry. Yeah, so our flyer, as earlier stated, it was revolving around belief versus knowledge. And I've given you the definitions. Those are textbook definitions. So you don't have to take them at heart, but there's some key points that you guys should be keen on. That is justification, truth, claim, evidence. Those are just some of the keywords that maybe you guys should take into considerations while viewing these textbook definitions. So as we move on, I would like to hear maybe some of your definitions. And I don't want, maybe if you hold a similar textbook definition, maybe hold back. Most I'd like to know your point or your stance on opinion. What do you guys think opinion is? Dorcas, would you take point on answering this? Dorcas, you there?
Yes, I'm there. I will turn on my video in the next contribution. For now, let me just speak. Yes, by and large, I am with you on all the definitions that you have outlined. And I think maybe I can augment the point by giving an example. I think examples are great in driving a point home. In order to distinguish between belief and knowledge, I've used this analogy many times, and I'm going to use it again here because I think it works beautifully. As he said, belief is accepting that, okay, he used a different definition, but the crux of it is accepting that something is true, especially one without proof. Okay, so somebody makes a claim, you accept it, or a claim exists. It might not, you might not necessarily hear it, but a claim exists. You accept it as true without requiring proof. So for instance, if I am an employee, I work at a bank, and they usually pay us at the end of the month. Right now, we are at the end of the month. I can say that I believe I have 50,000 shillings in my bank account. Or I hold the belief that there is 50,000 shillings in my bank account. I've accepted it as true without proof. I've not confirmed from either a bank statement, some SMS coming into my phone, or I've not gone to the ATM machine and checked my balance or used mobile banking, etc., to confirm. I just have that expectation because this is what has been happening in the past. And yeah, I just believe that I have 50,000 in my bank account. But the moment I go and check my bank balance, I take that ATM card, insert it in the machine, and then it tells me I have 50,000 shillings in my bank account. Then now I have knowledge. It moves from belief to knowledge. The distinction is that with this one, I have proof. Yeah, I have proof. That's the difference. With knowledge, there should be the essence of proof. So that's why he defined it as justified true belief. The aspect of justifying it involves proof. Of course, maybe we'll get into details of other ways we can justify it. Another aspect I wanted to respond to was what he said about opinion. Okay, an opinion. I think we need to distinguish between opinions and beliefs. They can seem very similar, almost synonymous, but actually they are not. An opinion is a subjective judgment about something. It's subjective. So, by and large, an opinion cannot be false or true. Okay? An opinion cannot be false or true. It's just your subjective judgment. So, if something it's not falsified, it's a matter of taste, then it falls in the side of opinion. So for instance, if it's reggae music, I remember we were debating about this 2 weeks ago. Somebody was like, reggae music is shitty. He hates it and he believes it's going to go extinct after millennials die off. He hated it and he said all these bad things because I had told people that I'm going to go for a reggae concert. Mark you, I went for the concert and nothing bad happened. So that's just bad press, or those are just stereotypes. So according to him, reggae music is terrible, but that's an opinion. It's a subjective judgment. Okay. However, a belief is accepting something without proof. So a belief can either be false or true. We have false beliefs and we have true beliefs because there's the element of proof. If a belief can be taken through proof, if it can be falsified, then it is a belief. But if it is just a subjective judgment, then it is an opinion. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thanks, Dorcas. Anyone want to add in, share something else? Floor is open.
The hand is up, Nikki.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm asking, can a knowledge be false? Is it possible for knowledge to be false? Thanks.
I would say maybe let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're still on definitions, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Is that fine, Morioki?
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
Anyone with something to add on from topic one? Okay. Yes. Okay, so there's none. Okay, let's move on. Sorry? Okay, let's move on to topic 2. And
I can't hear Nikki. I can't hear you, Nikki. You sound far. I don't know if it's me alone. You sound very far.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but before was better. Before was much better. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, let me switch positions. Is that better?
Yes, better.
Is it me alone? Dorcas, is it me alone? He sounds a bit different from before.
No, John has said it's better.
Click is clear. Miruki, can you move to a better place?
Me, I'm okay.
So it's only Muruki's problem. Maybe Muruki, maybe you could. John, you have something to add on before we move on?
Not much, but just okay. Thank you. First, I can just add that beliefs are more or less self-centered. Okay, it can be self-centered to suit your ego. For example, most of the ladies, or someone can say, "I am beautiful" or "I am handsome." That is a belief. It can be self-centered to suit your ego or your preference. But knowledge are facts and universal. Thank you.
Okay, John, thank you so much. Okay, let's move on to topic 2, and we're looking at justification. How do we know? Basically, how do we know anything? How can we claim to actually know? And to this, I'll drag you guys to some philosophical discussion. In philosophy, we majorly had two. We had two problems, and in philosophy, we have a dedicated subject. We have dedicated knowledge to its own subject, I would say, and that is I've forgotten the word, but I'll tell you guys as the meeting goes on. In philosophy, we have purely the study of knowledge, and there's a problem that arose between two groups. One was the empiricists, and the rest were the rationalists.
Is it epistemology?
Yes, it is, Dorcas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I knew someone had done their homework, but I wasn't sure who. Thank you so much, Dorcas. Yes, it is epistemology. And in epistemology, we have two groups that are clashing: the empiricists and the rationalists. Empiricists from the word empirical, rationalists from the word rational. So the empiricists usually say that all knowledge is gathered from sensory experiences. And sensory, I mean the use of our senses, the eyes, the nose, touch, hear. Yeah, basically the sensory experiences of our bodies that help us to interact with our surroundings, and that thereby knowing or having a distinction between this and that. Whereas the rationalists, they say that all knowledge is innate. It comes from within us, from inside us. It's innate. It's like the way you buy a new computer, and it has its software inbuilt, so you don't have to like start hustling on how software issues or on how to manage your software. It just comes already packaged in. And the rationalists usually held this view. A famous one was a French philosopher during the, I would say, post-modern, I would say modernity era. It's around the 1600s. So the French philosopher, his name was René Descartes. Most of you have interacted with the Cartesian plane in mathematics. Actually, he's the one who invented the Cartesian plane. So Cartesian from the word Descartes. So that's how, if maybe some of you guys aren't familiar with his work, I'm sure you're familiar with the Cartesian plane. So yeah, he was a French philosopher and mathematician, and he actually came up with a famous quote: "Cogito ergo sum." Cogito ergo sum is in Latin, so it basically translates to "I think, therefore I am." And he embarked on this radical project or I would say, yeah, most people call it radical. He embarked on this radical project where he presupposed great doubt, and he stripped away all beliefs that could be doubted, including those from sensory experiences. Let's say I've seen a giraffe, maybe you've seen an elephant, and maybe you've seen the same thing, but we are defining two different things. And he stripped away all the beliefs that could be doubted, and to find an indubitable. Indubitable simply means it can't be contested. An indubitable foundation that its justification came from clear and distinct ideas. So the foundation of this radical project was to help him get to a position where any justification can come from clear and distinct ideas. Therefore, his project was, he thought to himself, or he stripped away everything that he knew, his friends, his family, his clothes, the air he breathes, the food he eats. He stripped away everything and thought about and deeply introspected and thought, if I strip away everything, what else cannot be doubted? And he actually came to a realization that he was actually thinking at the time. And by doing so, he realized that he can doubt everything, but he cannot doubt him thinking about his actions. And therefore, he famously came to the conclusion that I think, therefore, I am. So the rationalists, the rationalist is always interested in the innate concept, the concept of the innate ideas coming from within, and not maybe I would say the commonsensical approach, whereby everything that you experience with our sensory organs are or can be translated into clear and indubitable knowledge. If I move on to the empiricists, I would quote one famous John Locke. And John Locke said that human beings are born tabula rasa, which means that we are born, basically when we are born, our brains are just blank. Tabula rasa means blank state. So we just have nothing on our plate. And as we go on in life, as we interact, as we experience our environment, our relations to others, our relationship to the environment, then we start to know. Then, let's say, knowledge can be gotten from such actions. And so, I would put it to you guys: how can you justify what you've come to know so far? How did you arrive at this supposed knowledge that you've gotten? Was it? Do you think it was innate? Do you think it was just there inside of you, and maybe it needed something? It needed something to inspire it to come out, or maybe you fall in line with the empiricists and you actually believe that we get our knowledge from us experiencing the world, and that is through our sensory experiences. So I put it to you guys: where do you fall in? Where do you fall in? The rationalist or the empiricist? The floor is open. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Nick, if I can chip in.
Yes, Were. Please do.
Yes. Thank you for your clear distinction of the two. But from my end, I think that I don't fall in either of the two elements of empiricism or rationalism. But
Okay, so you're a
more,
moderate.
yes. No.
Okay. Defend your position, please.
Yes. Let me finish.
Yes.
On my side, I believe that one cannot be an either of the two, and I believe that all human beings are a product of the two, a hybrid of the two. That our experiences also shape our understanding of knowledge, and we are also having the knowledge through innate, as you described, and therefore there are things that we are, let's say, as children, we are nurtured, and we learn a lot from our parents, and as we grow up, it's through that experience that we get to understand some things, and therefore prove, and therefore which becomes knowledge. And like where some beliefs are also put upon us by our parents. For example, the idea of now the existence of God, whereby we are born as a tabula rasa, as you said, but the parents play a big role in modeling or shaping our beliefs, since they are the ones who teach us or impact some knowledge upon us at a very early age. But as one matures, one is able to shape his or her own destiny through his or her experiences. So I believe that one cannot entirely be either an empiricist or a rationalist, but a hybrid of the two shapes our understanding of knowledge and beliefs. Thank you.
Right, Were. Okay. Interesting. So yes, so you're on the fence. You're sitting on the fence. I see. I'll get back to you. I have a question for you. I would like to hear another response. Anyone?
Bolelang, I think you had your hand up before me. Do you want to go?
Let him go. Let him go first.
Oh, yes. I agree with the comment that has just passed. I fall in that part. Things that are instinctive in my body. They are not that many, though they form the foundation. Those are things that I come with from my genes, but they are not in the form of knowledge. They are formed in the way that I behave and some of the decisions that I make. But a majority of what I became, I was influenced by the environment.
Well, okay. I can see some blind sides based on your answers, but okay, I'll try not to. Let me first hear. Deve, go ahead. Bolelang, I'll come back to you, because I like you. Maybe think about let's see. Think about DNA. Think about how information is relates in what do we call it? In biology, we call it signaling, isn't it? Yeah. So think about it and then get back on me. Get back to me with your response. Deve?
Yes, thanks, Nikki. Hello, everyone. For me, of course, I'm going to be on the side of the road because number one, the problem with this idea of tabula rasa is misleading, because it means that if I was completely tabula rasa, I would have to be taught to every time I would have to be taught to not put my hand near the fire. However, this tabula rasa, the minute that they get their hand in the fire the first time, they know that they should never do it again. So it is not really a tabula rasa as such. So that is one of the problem where I will be on the side of the road. And the other one is the idea you've said by Descartes, that, oh, what was the I have derailed my second thought. I'll get back. I'll get back to you when I find what my second thought that I had formed that comes to question the idea of taking any one. Oh yes, so now I know. I remember. Yeah, the problem of taking any one of those two philosophies is that there are people who see things that are not there. That's why it is called seeing things or hearing things. Therefore, can you say that because somebody sees angels that other people don't see, is that person being informed really? Is that person being informed by their sense of hearing and their sense of seeing, or is something else going on in their mind? So that is the problem, that we have to be somewhere hug the side of the road until we formulate completely this philosophy, how this knowledge, how we are going to formulate the knowledge, like the solid knowledge. Thank you.
Dorcas?
Okay. Let me try and switch on my video. Wow. Okay, it has refused. Anyway, okay, it was on, now it's off. There you go. Now, for the longest time, I have described myself as an empiricist. Me, I'm not afraid of labels. You know, there are atheists who don't want to call themselves anything. So I'm an empiricist, I'm a materialist. I believe we live in a material world. I'm a naturalist. Yeah, for the sake of this discussion and many other things, but for the sake of this discussion, I think those ones are relevant. And the reason why I take up that label is because of the superiority of outcomes that empiricism brings. I know you described it as focusing on the external world and on observation, but that isn't the whole definition. Empiricism is acquiring knowledge about the world through the use of observation, experimentation, and the scientific method. Like, besides you just observing something, you need to perform an experiment, you need to confirm a hypothesis, and then that experiment needs to be done by other people, other scientific experts, and or even if they're not scientists, but other experts in the field, they need to conduct the same experiment. And if they come to the same conclusion as you, then you can have confidence in that aspect and you can call it a fact. It can become knowledge. So it's not just observing. Empiricism doesn't just end at observation. It also involves confirmation or verification by experts. That's the aspect that guards against self-delusion. Because yes, our sensory experiences can lie to us, especially when our brain is at a suboptimal level. Let's say you are half asleep, half awake, or let's say you are scared. There was anxiety or fear. You can see things. You can see things that are not really real. Yeah. So the aspect of confirmation or consensus is also another component. With that said, it doesn't mean that when I live my life, I don't use rationality or logic. I think that also comes into the picture. I just think that it isn't the bottom line. I think empiricism is more reliable because it is the foundation for the scientific method. And I think the scientific method is the most reliable method of knowing the world around us. Yeah, that's what I had to say on that. And then I wanted to answer Morioki's question. He said, he asked us whether it is possible for knowledge to be false, not according to that definition. The definition that our moderator gave of knowledge is justified true belief. The word true is already in there. For something to become knowledge, it has to be true. So now we are talking about how to find out that something is true, how to justify your belief. We are at that point. But the definition in and of itself includes the word true. Knowledge is justified true belief. Something has to be true for it to become knowledge. So the moment it is false, it is not knowledge. It's just a false belief. That's my answer to Morioki. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, Dorcas, you veered off uncharted territories, and I feared that you'd veer off, but well, it's here. Let's do this. So, Dorcas, majorly we're looking at empiricism, and we are not looking at because if we merge the philosophical empiricism with the scientific add-ons, then we start um, um, to justify knowledge, and I like how you've merged the two, but I would have loved, but I would like us strictly on topic two to just stay on those two. So we don't need to get ahead of ourselves, because the next topics just flow into what we are going to discuss. So maybe let's not get ahead of ourselves with the topic. Let's go systematically, because if we start shooting in the dark, then we might find ourselves not actually getting any knowledge. No pun intended. So anyone who has something else to add on? I saw Morris has joined us just recently. Morris, I don't know, are you live? Do you want to add something, or maybe we move on? Okay. John?
No, I'm
You have
okay. I'm
something to
okay.
say?
Not really.
I see we have someone new. Cookie, would you like to say something?
I'm still following. I'll chip in when I need to.
Okay. Bolelang, I think you have an answer for me. Go ahead, please.
It is not an answer as such, But you were asking about DNA. And I remembered, is it epigenetics or there's a word like that where the experiences that our parents had before we were born get interwoven into their DNA. And then when we are born, then we are that inclined because those are experiences that our parents had. Like if you were given birth to by a parent that stresses easily and they were in a very high stress environment, it is going to show in you. But that you can see it's in behavior. It is not in the knowledge as such. It's not something that we learn as such, so we wouldn't call it knowledge. Still going back to the tabula rasa, that yes, it is tabula rasa when we are born. And as Endeavor said there, that when a child takes a hand towards fire and it burns the child, and the child pulls the hand and never goes to it, they never had that knowledge before. Their experience with the environment is the one that puts that knowledge in their mind, that that yellow thing that is flickering or blue depending, that thing, it's not a flower. When you touch it, there's pain. So it was tabula rasa in that particular case, and because the knowledge was not there and the child learned it because of the experience.
Right. Okay. Okay, Bolelang. I see your point. I would like to move on to topic 3, and that is the God question. And I think prepared something here. I want to ruffle some atheistic feathers. And the question is, can you know a God doesn't exist? And I would put it to you guys, not a Gnostic or not Gnostic atheist claims to know that no God exists. Their justification might be the problem of evil. I would say lack of empirical evidence. Let's say we have some logical incoherence, or maybe certain divine attributes that maybe are inconsistent with the reality. And an agnostic atheist, on the other hand, does not believe in a God, but does not claim to know for certain that none exists. So, an agnostic atheist does not believe in a God, but does not claim to know for certain that none exists. So, this is the question. Can one ever know a universal negative? It's an empiricist, or maybe John Locke himself would ask, what is the sensory experience of God's non-existence? So atheists, would you consider this question? What is the sensory experience of God's non-existence? So question one is, can you ever know a universal negative? And it's followed up with, what is the sensory experience of God's non-existence? I've already seen some hands up, so okay. This one might create some tension. So I would say, Pastor Stano, you can go ahead. Bolelang would follow, Ndeve, Muriuki, and then Dorcas. So, Pastor Stano? You have the floor.
So
Sorry,
I
X,
think,
X, Pastor Sano, X.
yeah, most people call me pastor. So, but anyway, so for me, I will say you cannot be sure something does not exist because you cannot be able to explore everywhere. So in that case, we should be agnostic. But if given specification, for example, if someone say in my house there is an elephant, after looking my house, I will be 100% sure elephant does not exist in my house. So if someone gives the specification, for example, the Christian God, I will look those logically and prove 100% that God of the Bible or of Christianity or Abrahamic God does not exist. So when you give the specific specification, we can be able to look at those logically. And if it's something that we can look physically, for example, like looking elephant in my house, then we will need to look that before we confirm something exists or does not exist. So, but when we talk about the universally, the way you have said, maybe there is elephant with 4 hands in another universe. Maybe there is another universe. So we cannot be sure by saying there is no elephant with the 4 hands until we are able to confirm beyond where we are able to look. That is why I say if it's something that is beyond our search, we can just say we are agnostic to that, but we will only believe after we confirm it exists or does not exist. Thank you.
Bolelang.
Yes, I hold the same stance as ex-pastor Stano. I'm an agnostic atheist. And the reason I'm taking the agnostic atheist step is because I don't know for sure that God does not exist, but I have no proof that God exists. So I'm not obliged to believe. I will act on it if it's knowledge, not a belief. And if I become agnostic about it, then also I'll be having a burden of proof to prove that there's no universal God somewhere. Yes, Allah doesn't exist, Yahweh doesn't exist, Jehovah and Jesus, those don't exist because they've given us enough information about them to can prove them a lie. But how many religions are out there or beliefs that are talking about different gods? I don't know about all those gods that are out there. And some of the gods are even not gods that are invisible. They talk about a deity or something. So I cannot just blanket say there's no God, but I can say I don't believe in God.
Okay. Deve, please. I'd like to hear especially from you.
The thing is that you have probably all heard about the tiny teacup going around the sun. It's so tiny we can't see it, but it is there. Okay, so does that mean that that teacup doesn't exist just because we don't know? No, we don't know. But does that say just because we don't know about a certain God, and I'm saying a certain God because there are so many gods, does that mean that that God exists or it doesn't exist? Probably we are not important enough to it, or it is not important enough for us to find it yet, but maybe sometime we will find it, just like we will find, one day we will find that tiny teacup going around the sun. I don't know how a teacup got in the orbit, but that is just the way I would put it, the way another person put it. Now, this is where my atheism comes in, by saying this, that the gods that we have known about, and there are other millions that we don't know about. There was Zeus, there was Thor, and they were all gods for A, B, C, D, for the thunder, for lightning. They receded into a corner of of scientific knowledge. They were dismissed because of scientific knowledge. Now I would say maybe the other gods will go that way too. Once we know how a bush can burn, well, maybe there was no burning bush, but once we know how a bush can burn without disappearing, but AI probably can do a burning bush very realistically for us now. Therefore, Yahweh is in some problem. I can just tell you, unless Yahweh does something drastic and appears and comes over and says, "Hey guys, before you dismiss me with AI and do a burning bush, a real burning bush, I'm here. I'm for real," because that is how we tend to know stuff. Otherwise, Yahweh will just remain, and other gods will remain something in our beliefs, in our faith. Now, other gods, there are other gods that I like, that teacup in the going around the sun. There are other gods that we don't even know. They existed, or they will exist in the future, and we don't know about them. Are they not gods also? Yes. Are we not atheists about those gods? Yes, we are. So I think atheism is a more realistic situation, more realistic position, because you are always an atheist of one God or another million gods. If you are agnostic or atheist about one God, you are an atheist about more gods. So again, we might have got down and say, "Oh, which God?" Sorry to complicate things. Yeah, thank you.
It's okay, Ndeve. Just for context, before when you finish, I'd like you to answer this quick question: are you agnostic or gnostic? Agnostic with the A, gnostic without. So, are you an agnostic atheist or agnostic atheist? Because I have a follow-up questions for the two groups.
I think I might not stay in the middle of the road on this one. I'll just say I'm an atheist, because if I will be saying gnostic to which God? There are so many of them. So I am atheist. I'm going to say generally I'm an atheist, because there are more gods than I can believe in. Does that sound? Does that? Yeah.
No,
was that the question?
it's not satisfactory to me. I'm asking,
Yeah.
are you an agnostic atheist? Agnostic means I don't believe and I know. No, I don't believe and I know, sorry. I don't believe and I know there isn't a God. Sorry, that's an agnostic with an A. You understand, Ndeve?
Yes, I'm more like you're saying that either I know or I don't know.
You're sure. So an agnostic is sure, and he knows there isn't a God. An agnostic with an A. You understand?
No, Nikki, I disagree. It's the opposite. Gnostic knows.
Gnostic
Means
knows.
cancel. Yes, when you add onto a word, it means it's the opposite. So Gnostic means knows. Agnostic means they don't know. So it's
Yeah.
the opposite, Nikki.
No, you've had me correct. It's you guys are just. I'm saying an agnostic is sure that God doesn't exist and knows that God doesn't exist. That's what I'm saying. So we are just saying the same thing. It's just the difficulty is because I have to put the G at agnostic so that gnostic doesn't sound the same thing. You understand?
So in other words, am I agnostic atheist or agnostic atheist?
Are you sure that God doesn't exist? Are you sure? Are you certain that God doesn't exist?
Yes, before I can say that, I have to say which God.
No,
Which
no,
God?
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter any.
Yeah, but there are so many.
So of all those many, are you sure none of them exist?
Oh, I'm just going to say that, yeah. Or for the ones that we now know, they don't exist. They
So
they they
you are an agnostic with an A. You understand that?
yeah, I know. I am agnostic. I know that God doesn't exist.
So you are an
Because
agnostic. You're an agnostic because you know and you are certain that God doesn't exist.
if you put it in English, yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Nikki, you are confusing the terms.
I'm not.
Agnostic does not know. With an A, they don't know. The one with a G, Gnostic, knows
Oh,
there is no
sorry,
God.
sorry,
Yeah.
Ndebe. You're a gnostic. Sorry. Thank you, Dorcas. So you're a
Thank you,
gnostic,
Dorcas.
Ndebe. Yeah.
Yes, because there are so many of them. I would have to choose which one I know about.
Okay,
So
so
which
I have
one?
a question for you. So I have a question for you and your gnostic friends.
Okay.
So here's my question. How do you respond to the challenge that a universal negative is philosophically very difficult? How do you respond to the challenge that a universal negative is philosophically very difficult? And by this, I mean that how can you tell that a universal negative is a philosophical impossibility or a difficult position? That is a question for you and your Gnostic friends. So those guys
Okay.
who are telling me, oh, you can't prove a negative, show me how a negative is an impossible philosophical position. Show me.
Okay.
um,
Is a
um,
negative the same thing as a negative? A negative, is it the same as a negative?
Negative, yes, negative, the n, just the negative that you know.
Or the negative? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
so
So
that is a
a
question
universal.
to you. Yeah, that is a question to you and your Gnostic friends. How do you respond to the challenge that a universal negative is a philosophically very difficult position? Thank you. Thank you, Ndeve. You and your friends can digest that. Dorcas, you are next. Dorcas, please give me something, but only in a minute because I have another question for the agnostic friends.
Mojoki was before me.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, Morioki, go, and then Dorcas, you can follow suit.
Okay, thanks, Dorcas. Thanks, Nikki. Okay, you asked earlier on, how do you experience the non-existence of a God? So for me, how I experience the non-existence of a God is sufferings, accidents, natural disasters, stillbirths. I know of a child who was born with no brain. That's for me. That's enough for me. Thanks.
Muruki, I also have a question for you. Based on your response, it seems that you're just rejecting those claims based on a certain God with certain attributes. But maybe if we look at other gods or other religions with different attributes, won't your response warrant a different answer? Won't it?
Or,
Please answer.
or,
No, think
or
about it first. Don't jump in straight. Just think about it, and then yeah. Dorcas, you can come in, and then Lucheveleli. Dorcas.
Okay. Yes. I was unmuting. Gnostic or agnostic atheist. Now, this question is always problematic to me because my heart is elsewhere, but my mouth will say something different. So, if people ask me what am I, I'll say that I am an agnostic atheist. But my heart is with the Gnostic atheists. And here is why. I choose that position of being an agnostic atheist in that I don't know that there is no God for the pure philosophical reason that I don't want to make a positive claim. The moment I say there are no gods, then I take on a burden of proof which I might not be able to meet. That's the only reason. Why am I saying that my heart is with the Gnostic atheists? Firstly, I think in life, we don't need absolute certainty in order for something to be false. Okay? We don't need absolute certainty. We need close
Dorcas.
certainty.
Careful, Dorcas.
Let me finish before you interrupt.
Okay.
Before you interrupt me, let me finish, Mr. Moderator. Then you can render your precautions. So, absolute certainty is not required for one to take on the negative position, especially for really outrageous claims that have been proven time and time again not to hold water. We don't need absolute certainty in order for us to say that there's no Santa Claus, there's no tooth fairy, there's no flying spaghetti monster, there's no vampire or vampires, there's no Dracula, there are no leprechauns, there are no mermaids, there are no unicorns, there are no all those imaginary creatures that exist out there. We don't need absolute certainty for us to say they don't exist. We are not agnostic about them simply because they have never met their burden of proof. And the same is also true for other aspects of life. We don't require that absolute certainty. If I tell you that when you chew your food, they are invincible leprechauns, they're tiny fairies inside your teeth that break down the food for you. You can say no, that's false. Yeah, that's false because I have not given you proof of the same. And that's fine, even though there isn't absolute certainty. Maybe there might be some invisible creatures in your mouth that really crush your food. It's just that they're undetectable. Anything that is undetectable, we can say it is non-existent. So we don't need that kind of threshold for most of these things. Even the believers themselves, they don't need 100% certainty not to be agnostic about other gods. Like if you ask a Christian, are you agnostic about the Muslim God? Are you agnostic about Hindu gods? Are you agnostic about our African gods? Were is here. He's a Luya. Like me, the Luya God is called Were. And they are not, the Christians are not agnostic about the Luya gods or our African deities. So why is it that all of a sudden we have this special standard that we are applying to the God question? For all intents and purposes, I think we can write it off. We can say indeed we know there isn't any God or gods because throughout history they have failed to prove their claim. Throughout history and for all the permutations of gods that have been presented, they have failed to prove their claim. So should we continue to say maybe sometime in the future, eventually they will meet that threshold? I think we even though there's that possibility of 0.0 something percent or maybe 3% likelihood that maybe in the future there might be a God claim that will meet its burden of proof. As per now, going by that entire human history, I think it is safe to say we know there is no God. So, bottom line, I am an agnostic atheist because I don't want to take on the burden of proof. But when I think through it, I feel like the Gnostics have it. Thank you.
Well, I have a question for your agnostic heart and your agnostic counterparts. What kind of evidence would it take to move you from I don't believe to I know a God doesn't exist? So this is a question for your agnostic heart and for the rest of the agnostic counterparts. What kind of evidence would it take to move you from I don't believe to I know a God doesn't exist? I'll come back to you guys, and anyone who's an agnostic, kindly digest that question. Come back to me. Luceveleli, I know you have something. You have maybe quite something big to say. So let Were go first, and then Luceveleli, I can give you the rest of the time. Were, if you can go briefly, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, first, I don't get where you fall according to the question, because my understanding is the question you are to ask. The question was about universal negativity, but the participants have been answering on the atheist aspect only. Anyway, for my case,
before you continue, I would just like to clarify for those maybe who don't understand. The question about a universal negative was for the Gnostics, those who are sure God doesn't exist. So, yeah. So the ones who are answering it from an agnostic point of view. So I'm writing down agnostic versus Gnostic. So it's 2-0 so far. But continue.
So for my case, I am a Gnostic atheist, and but only in matters to do with God. But in other areas, I believe that there are some parameters that can be used to give justification, and this is strictly science. For example, we have proved that, for example, elephants cannot fly. But again, like Dorcas said, we cannot have absolute certainty in some matters. For example, about exploration of the Mars, we never knew about the Mars before Elon Musk went to the Mars. Currently, we don't know about the other planets. Maybe we have better life in Jupiter than Saturn or other planets. So, in matters of God, I'm agnostic atheist, but in other matters, there's always room to explore, to give justification, or not to have absolute certainty. Thank you.
I love it, well. Thank you for your response. Luceveleli?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nikki. I think I was able to join late, but yeah, let me just get on with it. I think it's not a surprise that I'm a Gnostic atheist, yeah, and I think I am actually joining Dev's side and the rest, yeah. So the kinds of arguments that I use to back my position in itself, I actually start with clarifying the Gnostic position itself. I think you have done that, but if I can just add on it, there's a sort of misconception that goes on even among us as atheists, like when someone says, like myself or others or any other person says that they announce that they are agnostic atheist, so like you think you're certain, you think you know everything, and that's a caveat that most of the people actually fall into. It's like a pitfall, yeah. So just to clarify the position, you see, the position of the Gnostic atheism, it's not declaring that you have 100% absolute certainty about everything, just as most of you have echoed that. Yes, it's actually impossible to know everything. Like the universe is vast, it has many hidden secrets and stuff, yeah. So just to clarify on it, it is actually not a claim of of absolute certainty, but it's sort of dismisses the idea of infinite omniscience. Like you say, like there is a God, so it starts to raise a lot of questions, because just as Neve had said, we have multiple gods, so it wouldn't be logical to get cornered by just one understanding of a god. Like for instance, when someone gets surprised by my position and then they say that, oh, so you're saying that Allah does not exist, and at the back of my mind I have like other 13,000 or even more than that, 20,000 multiple gods that I'm pretty sure they don't exist. So it doesn't really make any sense. And yes, one can I can also use philosophical arguments to back it up. Like one of the ones that I most of the time use, it's something called the incoherence argument. Like it's actually attacks the mutual contradiction attributes in the idea of God itself. I usually say that assume even you have gods existing, it will actually raise lots of questions than solutions or answers. You see, it doesn't make sense, because how can you be talking of someone who is all good and all powerful yet there's evil? That's contradiction number one. How can you talk about something being omniscient and you're talking about free will? That's contradiction number two. So even by the logical aspect of it, you don't even need science to disapprove the idea of gods. It doesn't make any sense. Then I can also approach the second bullet. I can term them as bullets if you want, yeah. So the burden of proof. So the position of atheism in itself, just as someone has said, prefix a means without, right? So the idea of atheism, that's without belief. So it's like a response or a rejection to those who claim that actually gods do exist. I can as well use the similar idea that Neve had talked about, the teapot analogy. So if I come to you and tell you that between Earth and Mars there is a teapot, that you can't really see it, but there's a teapot. So it's up to you to prove to us whether that teapot exists or not. You can't hide under the pocket of our ignorance and say that, yeah, just because you are not 100% sure, there's a possibility that there's a teapot between Earth and Mars. Probably there is, probably there isn't. But it's up to you. If you want to have a logical argument, it's up to you to come with evidence and show to us, to prove to us with undeniable evidence that the teapot actually exists. Otherwise, if you can't do it, just as Neve had said, you see, the ideas of gods, not just the Christian God or Allah, all the gods that we have conceived throughout history, they like to hide under the idea of human ignorance. And thanks to science, we have an ever receding pocket of human ignorance. So if one thinks that they can hide their God there, it won't take long. That pocket of ignorance will shrink so fast that even their God won't even have anywhere to hide. So back then, while we were evolving, I have or let me just get to science sometimes later on. Now, after the burden of proof, we can also talk about the God of the gaps. Just I've said, they like to hide under the human ignorance. You see, just because we have diseases, we have disasters, calamities, we have chaos in the universe. So it's pretty tempting to to convince yourself, or the believers to convince themselves, that probably just because we don't know everything, we don't know how nature works, we don't know how the sun works, probably there's someone in charge of it. And that's actually a funny way of thinking of things. So if someone thinks it's smart of them to hide their gods under that ever receding pocket of human ignorance, right now we know how the sun works. I can't come to you and tell you that we have a sun god that is actually responsible for the warmth and heat, and you know that nuclear fusion occurs at the core of the sun. So number one, we will have actually wiped out the pockets where you hide your gods. So it doesn't make any sense. And if they want to trigger a Gnostic artist because they want to guilt trip him just because they will misrepresent his position or her position, that they know everything with certainty, it doesn't work that way. And now my third bullet, I can as well use the scientific arguments. Yeah. When there's zero empirical evidence for any gods we ever conceived, whether it's Zeus, whether it's Krishna, whether it's Sol Invictus or the old gods even before the Yahweh and the Allah, science has shown us that all of these are products of human evolution. That's the same idea. That's why you can't see the idea of religion in lesser organisms that don't have higher thinking capacities, like for example ants. Like amoeba, like even bacteria, you can never have those things forming religion. So this already tells you that the idea of religion and gods, this is actually a byproduct of evolution. It's not the other way around. There's no God that actually created us, and then sometimes they tracked back and said, okay, let's now evolve. I created you, but evolution came in later. It doesn't work that way. It's purely illogical. So there's nothing wrong with being a Gnostic atheist. Yeah. And then when it comes to even the idea of morality, the ones who claim that we can't have morality because if there are no gods, then we can't have morality. Evolution has again showed us that morality is again a byproduct of the same, of our social interactions, the mutual social contracts. That's how we came up with morality. So the idea of someone is in charge there of morality of good and bad, that's all hogwash to me. It doesn't make any sense. Now, to the question that I think Nikki you had posed, I think you had actually posed a question to Gnostic atheists, like if you can't prove a universal negative. Let me start by telling you that is a negative statement in itself. If you can't prove a universal negative, that's a negative statement on itself. It actually shows that you can. And yes, you can actually prove a universal negative. For example, I can tell you for sure that you can never have a triangle with four sides. You can never have that. If you have a triangle with four sides, it stops being a triangle. And I've actually proven to you. So you can actually do that. So it doesn't make any sense to say that just because we don't know probably the big chunk of the universe, probably things about dark matter, because yes, we don't know what dark matter is right now. So someone might be tempted to say that, you know what, God actually exists as dark matter. That's why you can't see him. He's invincible. He's invincible. So these are just pockets of human ignorance, that people use to hide their ideas of gods. But just as I've said, it's only a matter of time before this pocket of human ignorance starts to be ever receding, and there shall come a point, if we won't get extinct, there shall come to a point where this pocket of human ignorance will be so small that it will even be stupid to hide any idea of a god behind such pocket of human ignorance. So my position is still constant. Like, Gnostic atheism is just as rational as agnostic atheism, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, for clarity, Lucevileli, I'll repeat the question for the Gnostics. And this was my question. How do you respond to the challenge that a universal negative is philosophically very difficult? And I'm not talking about proving the universal negative. I'm talking about the idea that a universal negative is philosophically an impossible or a very difficult position to defend. That is my question.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's an impossible position to defend. You can actually defend it, just as the same way I've used philosophy to deconstruct the idea of any gods existing, because the incoherence argument that exists, it actually indirectly it's a logical argument against the idea of gods, because we have lots of contradiction. Just as I started by saying that the existence of any gods actually raises more questions than answers, because assume Yahweh exists. All of us will have many questions than when it didn't exist, because why do some people die? Why, just as Mauricio said, why are some kids born without brains? Why are some good people dying early and some evil people living in power? You see, it raises lots of questions, because number one, it's not logical to have gods around. Such beings, it doesn't make sense. And even if you use the all good, all powerful, evil argument, it still fits into the same. So I wouldn't say it's impossible to prove a universal negative. If you have your facts right and your logics and your logical thought, you can actually make a good argument against the idea of any gods. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but yet it might be tough, but it's not impossible. Yeah.
I loved your response. I loved your response, but stay with me.
Sorry.
Stay with me. And the
Nick?
Gnostics, stay with me, yeah?
For clarification, I think Eugene is talking about the Abrahamic God or the specific God, but your question is about the general God. It can be theistic or theistic. So can you clarify on
Tano,
that?
I think you're getting the gist of it, but not quite. What I'm asking is the idea that a universal negative, the word is, we are not talking about God, we are talking about the idea that a universal negative is a difficult philosophical position. So how can a Gnostic atheist challenge or respond when someone challenges you on the idea that a universal negative is a philosophical difficult position to take? That is my question. So you have to like,
that is correct, Nick. That is correct.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know.
I may request maybe Eugene to try to answer that question now with the mind of the theistic, because he have answered with the mind of theistic. Now with the mind of theistic God.
Thank you, Stano, for your response again. But I want you to answer philosophically, not atheistically, not theistically. I want you to answer it now. Now, this is where the real challenge comes. I want you guys to answer it in terms of knowledge, in terms of epistemology. I don't want you to answer in terms of religious whatever. Religious so this is something you have to really think about. So let me rephrase. How does a Gnostic respond to the challenge that a universal negative is a philosophically very difficult position to stand from? Bolelang, you had your hand up for a while. I'll let you answer, and then Luchevelele, and then Were, you can go back. But take your time before you answer this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So maybe a minute to respond, because we are behind on time.
So
Bolelang, you can go ahead.
If the topic is direct, then you can extend.
I lowered my hand because I'm on the agnostic side. So I saw that you still need to deal with the Gnostics. So
no, it's okay, Bolelang. I'll take it from anyone, because the questions have already been posed.
Yeah, you said, what evidence do I need? I don't need any evidence. Something like evidence, it's something that is organic. If I know what evidence I need, that means I know the situation that this thing is happening. What I know is that there are a lot of people just lying about gods, and I'm not going to believe them until they become convincing, until they offer a reasonable evidence. I don't know what that evidence is, and I think it is foolish to give them those conditions, because how do you know?
Okay, Bolelang, I hear you. Great response. Great response. Does anyone want to take on to respond to the Gnostic question, or do we move on and let it brew and stir for a while? Judging by Dorcas' face, I think let us move and let it sit and brew, because I know it's a difficult one. I told you guys, I was ready for you guys. You don't know. So, part 4. Oh, Dave has something. Dave, please.
Nikki, the way you are asking the question, I feel as though I'm going to lose marks and probably end up with a with a minus 50% in this exam.
I love you, David. That's why I love you. You know, the beauty about philosophy is you don't need to get it right now, but in time, slowly, some things just start making sense by observing more, coming to meetings more. You just it's like a sponge. You just absorb it. So don't worry, Ndeve. I know it's tough. I've tried to the best of my ability to simplify the definitions, but sometimes the rubber just has to meet the road. So I'll let those questions brew and stir, because that's a philosophical gap actually. And judging by the way the Gnostic question was taken, it means that maybe us as atheists, maybe we've gotten ahead of ourselves in maybe in our confirmation bias, and maybe we need to maybe reflect. But besides that, part 4 of the discussion was, can you believe in science like you believe in religion? So that the question was, can you believe in science like you believe in religion? And I thought about it, and I would say that science is what can I say? The critical distinction is to believe in science is not the same as having religious faith or having religious belief, because science is a methodology, not a set of dogmatic beliefs. It is built on falsifiability, where ideas must be testable and disprovable, skepticism, where there is doubt, and repeatable evidence, where no matter the age, no matter the time, no matter what happens, if we conduct a test or if we conduct an experiment, these results must be repeatable. Religion is often based on revelation, scripture, and faith. So, based on those two definitions, can you believe in science like you believe in religion? And this is a caveat. So, hear this. People often say, I have faith in science. Is this a misuse of the word faith? Or does it point to a genuine similarity between how we hold scientific and religious views? So let me rephrase. People often say, I have faith in science. Is this a misuse of the word faith? Or does it point to a genuine similarity between how we hold scientific and religious faith? Bolelang, I would love to start with you. Muriuki can go ahead. Were, Dorcas, yeah. Bolelang, let's start with you, briefly.
There is no need to believe in science or to have faith in science. Maybe we can have faith in the method that is being used, and knowing that when somebody tries to fiddle with it, you can come in and object. There's a way of putting in an objection, but that's not a belief as such. A belief is just believing in something you don't know and agreeing without evidence. No, in science, things don't work that way. If there's an issue that is discussed that I'm not conversant with, I am under no obligation to say, okay, because it's science that is saying that, then I'm standing with that issue. No, I've got to go and check it myself before I can support that issue.
Well, Bulelang, great response. I hope you haven't copyrighted the sentence "faith in the method." I would love to use that somewhere else in other discussions. Actually, um, so you tell me if you've copyrighted it so that I don't infringe on
No,
intellectual property.
copywriting kills ideas. The reason we talk like this is that ideas should be spread and help a lot of other people.
Yeah, thank you, Bulelang. Okay, Muriuki.
Thanks, Nikki. First of all, this faith you're talking about, does it have any impact? What's faith in the first place, I wonder? To me, faith has no impact even. Because first, science is evidence-based, and I don't know what faith is. Is faith real? Thanks.
Well, faith is real. As real as religion is. I'm not talking about God. Faith is as real as religion is because it is
How is faith real?
it is one
How
and
is
the
faith
same
real?
thing. It's real because we are talking about it, aren't we? It's a word. It's a noun at sometimes. It's a verb sometimes. So by every definition of the word, it is practical. Now, how you apply it, it's up to you. Do you apply it in religious fields? Do you apply it in personal life? Do you apply it in social fields? Do you apply it in political themes? Faith is just, I would say, it's a phenomenon. So how you apply it, now that's the difference. So just that was just answering Muriuki's question. Where and then we go to Dorcas.
Yeah. So personally, I have faith in science. Why am I saying so? Science is about evidence, about fact, but we cannot run away from the fact that where we are scientifically is because of the founders. The scientists today have only been improving on the former scientists. So when one says that one has faith in science, it's because of this element of openness, that one is always open to new knowledge, which comes with science. I think that's what I can say.
Dorcas, you can go ahead, and then Eugene.
Okay. No, I don't think that we believe in science the way we believe in religion. Why do I say so? Just like everybody else, I agree that it is because science is based on an empirical process. And it's based on evidence and proof. If you even look at the definition of science, that word evidence will come into the picture. And as we defined knowledge, knowledge is justified through belief. So science is at the heart of justifying a belief to make it knowledge. So it becomes knowledge. It isn't a belief. It isn't a mere belief. So there's a very clear distinction between the two schools of thought. With that said, you asked, why is it some people say that they have faith in science I think we need to distinguish the two definitions of faith. You know, there are two definitions. Some of these words, by the way, have some conflicting, okay, they're not conflicting per se, but they have distinct definitions, two different definitions. And when you mix them up, what happens is you create confusion. And in fact, I'm going to ask you guys a question after making my proposition. When somebody says they have faith in science, they mean complete trust and confidence in something, because faith has two definitions. The first one is complete trust and confidence in something. For example, when I say, I have faith that my landlord will, not my landlord, sorry, my employer will pay me at the end of the month. Notice I keep using a lot of references surrounding money. It could be that I don't have this money, and I'm thinking a lot about money lately. Anyway, so I can say that I have faith my employer will pay me this week. Okay? I have faith that my employer will pay me this week. I'm referring to that definition, that I have complete trust and confidence in my employer. Then there's a second definition of faith. Still from the dictionary, I'm not even taking it from some other place, still from the dictionary. The second definition of faith is, it is the strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on strong conviction rather than proof. It's just your strong conviction. I'm just convicted. You know, the way the preachers in the crusades would say, just believe in Jesus. Just have faith in him. You have faith in your spiritual figure or in God without proof. So that second definition of faith is the one that applies to discussions on religion. Thus, if somebody says they have faith in science, they're referring to the first one, which is colloquial, and it can apply to anything. They have complete trust and confidence in science, which is fine. But if they say they have faith in science and the meaning they are referring to is complete, what is it? What did I say? Belief. I wrote it down. Strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual conviction rather than proof, then actually it just nullifies itself. You can't say that when it comes to science, because science is not religion. That definition in of itself says it's a belief in the doctrines of a religion. So yeah, that's what I needed to clarify. Now that I have given you the cheat sheet, I'm still going to ask you the question, because we often hear this from apologists out there, from Christian apologists or from any religious apologists. They usually like to ask us, you atheists, you like criticizing faith, but you also have faith. You have faith that that seat you are sitting on will not collapse under your weight. In fact, MJ Morris here was in a debate with, I think it was Milimani Chapel, AIC, and they asked him that very question. They told him, why are you criticizing us believers for having faith? Yet you as an atheist, you also have faith. You have faith that that chair will not collapse under your weight. That's why you're sitting on it. We cannot avoid faith. Thank you.
Great. Amanda. Okay, let's do this. because I gave Lucheveleli the same grace period. Amanda, I'll give you time to talk, but let Lucheveleli go first, and then Amanda, you can go ahead, but let Lucheveleli go first. I can give you like maybe 5 minutes to get everything off your chest. Lucheveleli briefly, so that you can give Amanda some time.
Right. Now, is it possible to have faith in science? Yes, just as you've said, science itself, it's a methodology. So yeah, it's sort of weird to have blind faith as we take it, as Dorcas has actually distinguished the two. Yes, in as much as that's at the back of our mind, that yes, you can't actually have a belief system in science. However, later on, it's actually quite possible, but it turns into something else. Now, do we have people who actually trust in science like religion? Not really. However, we have people who actually have some belief systems around science, and that's actually it has happened several times, and it's actually going on. And it's important to distinguish that aspect from actual science. Most of the time, we distinguish something known as scientism with science. Scientism moves like a cult. It's a worldview. Like this sort of people, yes, they do believe in science, yes, but they are not flexible. They are not ready to change their attitudes or their previous conceptions based on new information. So it actually becomes like sort of like a dogma, like a belief system. But keep in mind, it's not science. And again, just as Dorcas has said, it's actually a normal thing to have some faith in science, but it's not the blind faith like religion has. That is trust. Trust in science, it's very normal, because if you trust the method, why can't you why doubt it? Because it works. And when even it has happened several times, when you look at how we came to understood something known as peptic ulcers, the ulcers, it was previously thought that ulcers come because of stress. And there was this guy who actually he actually fought the system and actually had to do some experiment on himself to prove to the world that ulcers come about from bacteria in the gut. So you can imagine the world back then. People were like, "Where watch these stories? Like, stop these stories. They are nonsense. Ulcers comes from stress." And he actually had to prove. So what was going on? He was actually challenging this sort of mindset. People who have their belief system built around science, because to them they thought science is unchangeable. We can trust science. It's 100% sure. They refuse to acknowledge the fact that science is actually flexible because it changes based on new data. Because if we come up with new data tomorrow and then people say that, you know what, we might be wrong about the Big Bang, it's actually normal to readjust yourself and align yourself towards something that's rational. So yes, science has trust, and trust can be taken as faith in as much as they're two different things. But yes, we actually do have some people that treat science like religion, but it stops being science when that happens. It becomes scientism. And there are actually some reasons why this happened. Number one, it's because of cognitive ease. It's easier to trust than to critically think. Like when I come and give you some weird vaccines and I tell you trust the vaccines, in as much as vaccines work, I might be having some nefarious reason to give you the vaccine. And if you blindly trust the vaccines, you will actually have a hell of a time. Yeah. And then there's also authority bias, because someone might be well versed in a particular field. They are blind to their own flaws, so to them they take it as the standard truth, and that's actually happens. It actually happens lots of times, many times. So that's the same mechanism as religion, because when you look at how priests work, they take themselves to be so holy, they have learned theology, and you can't convince them otherwise. The same thing can actually happen in science. So science is not immune to such kind of circus. It actually happens. So the only way to avoid such things, it's again to use critical thinking as a tool, to be curious, and everything that I think we have talked about in the previous Zooms. Yeah. And I think apart from that as well, we can also say that in as much as knowing that science has some little belief, it actually makes sense why you will trust the method, trust the science, because several times and times again, this method has actually been shown to work against all other methods out there. It's not that science is the only method, but when it comes to getting rational results, consistent results, scientific method actually comes top of it. Yeah. But when it comes top of it, we should actually still be skeptical sometimes if the findings are, people can actually cook data. It has happened many times. And that's actually one of the reasons why we have the rise of anti-intellectualism in the modern world. People look like they're against science, but if you come to understand them, why we have people like anti-vaxxers around, it's because these are the same things that we tend to ignore. We tend to forget that we have people who need to understand how science works. People should be, educated in a proper way without bashing them, without, making them look dumb. Because when you do that, you can't force things on people. So yes, it's actually possible for people to have faith in science, and it can go to extreme and it stops being science. It becomes something like a religion, and that's scientism. Yeah.
Thank you, Lucheveleli. And on that point, and anyone can answer this based on Lucheveleli's response. Do you think this complacency that the religious people have and those in the scientific community who hold a similar view, do you think this complacency is, do you think atheists also can be, I would say, accused, not accused in the most extreme way, but can we be guilty of this can we also be guilty of this complacency on our part? Let's say when new evidence findings or maybe new challenges hit us, and we are like, no, we are used to certain format of claims and arguments for and against, and then someone comes in or some group comes in with something else that maybe might beg us to introspect, but maybe due to, let's say, I would say our strong position, we might be, let's say, reluctant to look at it. I say this because when was the last time you as an atheist questioned your position and had, let's say, enough justification for what for your stance on atheism? Um, do you reflect on it? Do you ponder over it, or maybe do we just do this for, say, aesthetic competition in debates with religious people, and maybe we aren't maybe really sure, or maybe we haven't confronted our old knowledge, or maybe there's new knowledge that maybe we haven't, or maybe we are reluctant to look at because it doesn't come in a similar fashion as we normally expect? What do you think? I'm trying to arouse your skepticism here. Are you skeptic enough of the atheistic position, or maybe you're just comfortable in there? Amanda, take us through something while you
Okay.
guys think of.
Sorry for interrupting, Nikki. Are you done with the fourth topic?
Sorry?
Are you done with the fourth topic?
No. That wasn't the first topic.
The
The first topic was on definitions. What I'm
about
asking is
the aspect of faith
about.
and science.
No. That's 4. That's topic 4. Look at
Is it
Dorcas'
done?
hands. She's sign languaging there.
Is it over?
No, not yet. We are still on 4, but we have one subtopic. But if maybe your brain is tired, you can just maybe what nini nasema aje.
If I forget.
You can view from, you can hover around. Amanda,
Oh
please.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. So what I want to say is I don't know. I think Nick, you're becoming like Alex O'Connor when you ask when you ask you're asking us to be, oh, are you skeptic? Oh, okay. So I guess I wouldn't say that I like I tell myself I wouldn't say that I tell myself, oh, I'm always right. I always say, like, we don't know. There's no new evidence that has proven otherwise for me not to be. Okay, let me now say on the other side, because we can't say for sure that we know, but you can't say the only right answer is we don't know, I think. And I think that's a fair answer. So that's aside about the fourth topic about faith in science. I think when you start calling it faith in science, it becomes it becomes so weird. I think there must be another name for it, and not faith. It shouldn't be faith. But then again, I understand that if we start calling it another name, we also have to admit that things like placebo works, and it's entirely based on faith. So I don't know. I think maybe belief in science is like belief, yes, faith, belief, yeah, belief in science. There's a thin line between belief and science, but I don't think that faith in having it, I think it should be trust. Having trust in science shouldn't be the same as shouldn't be like the same, shouldn't be viewed as the same as having faith in religion. It should be trust, because you're trusting a process that you know for sure. If it doesn't give you evidence, you can look at the evidence and make your own mind on it. So if you look at the evidence and the evidence even doesn't like it doesn't like favor your stand, you can like easily take another stand, not because it favors you, not because it makes you feel good, but because it's logical. You get what I mean? So I don't think that it should be called faith in science. I think it should be trust, because faith now makes it something else. It makes it something else, and it gives the religious people a ground to like, to like argue you out. But if you tell me, Ati, why do you think, as he's sitting, the way Dorcas was asking, why I would say sitting on why I would trust that I wouldn't, if I'm sitting on this chair, it wouldn't like make me topple over or something. Why do I need to trust it? It's holding my weight right now, and that's the evidence at this moment. Why do you have to like wait? Why do you have to like start thinking? Because at this moment and before that, the evidence was the same, that the chair is holding my weight and it's gonna hold my weight. If it starts toggling and toggling, if I sit on the chair, it doesn't mean like I have if it's toggling, I don't have like faith it's going to hold my weight, but I can see it's toggling, and it might not hold my weight, because it's going to be, it's spoiled. But I don't think that's a good comparison. If somebody asks you about that and compares that to having faith in a God you can't see, I do not think that's a good comparison. It's like, no, it's not a good comparison. It's not efficient, because yeah. So that's what I wanted to say. Like faith in science and faith in religion shouldn't be thought as the same thing. There must be another word for it, and there should be another word for it for you to at least distinguish the two. So yeah, thank you.
Sadly, Amanda, that begs a discussion on linguistics and.
Yes, exactly. That's why I was thinking like there should be another word. It's because, yeah, I think they should be. It's linguistic. It's just, yeah. But then again, it also raises another question, because I was just thinking right now, placebo medicines work, and they entirely work on things to do with faith, right? If I'm not wrong. Like if if I'm given a placebo medicine and it works on me, it only works because I thought it's gonna work, right? So does that make me stupid? So it raises another question, but I still strongly believe that religion and science, the word faith, the way it's used in religion and the way it's used in science should not be the same. But I also have my own question.
I would want to play the devil's advocate here because there's a book called James, for those who are conversant with the Christian Bible, and there's a quote in James that always says, "Faith without action is dead." So, could it be that those Christians actually realize that faith needs practical work behind it, and maybe we have maybe misjudged them on them being ignorant, or and let's say our interpretation might have been wrong? Because if someone says faith without action is dead, then he recognizes that merely the theory doesn't work if the practicality of it is incompatible with it. So, playing the devil's advocate,
Well, I
don't you
think that
guys think that wait, Amanda? It's not
okay.
even your question, it's for everyone, but I'll give you the first dibs. So don't you guys think that maybe on our part we might have harshly judged the Christians based on language and not on merit of what actually they were saying? Because if someone questions, if someone identifies that the theory needs to go with the practical, I mean, you can't totally say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Maybe he knows. So
Sorry, Nikki.
that is a question to you guys. Wait,
Nikki?
Muriuki. Yeah.
I'm saying you are just
Yeah.
confusing. The Bible is not talking about the faith, having action in faith, but it's talking about what you believe. You start working toward that. For example, you may believe there is unicorn that will reward you. Now you start doing what you think unicorn want you to do, so that unicorn may reward you.
Thank you,
So it's
Stano.
not connecting.
Thank you, Stano. Actually, we are not even misunderstanding each other. You've just gotten what I've said, and I think the members have gotten what I've said. My question is, if someone recognizes that faith without action is dead, doesn't it beg the question that this guy actually is not necessarily insisting on the faith itself, is actually saying that faith itself is not enough. It needs its practicality, and its practicality, I would compare it to methodology of arriving to maybe the justification of that faith. So I'm not necessarily I'm not necessarily in an apologist vibe, but what I'm saying is, how can we challenge this as atheists?
Okay,
All
just
that
one
thought.
thing before I go.
Okay, Amanda, I'll give you a
Okay.
minute.
Okay, so whatever you just said, I think if you say that, then it makes them. It's not. Let me not say them because it will be us against them. It makes Christians and people, religious people, not right on the faith thing, and it makes the people who are not religious, maybe let's say atheists, it makes them now the ones that are justified to say they have faith. But you see, that changes the. It changes the about. It changes like it's it makes them I don't want to say like they are using it in a dumb way, but it makes them like they are using a word that they don't even understand. Because if you are saying faith without action is dead, and we are the ones okay, not us, scientists are the one who are using both faith and actions, then faith in religion, it's not supposed to mean that. But now we come back to semantics, because that's not what's been allowed in semantics. That's not the definition in semantics. Yes, whatever you said sounds good, the quote sounds good, and it makes sense, but we come back to semantics, what's allowed in English and what the definition is. So I would still say it doesn't like make 100% sense to use the word faith in science, because now we are saying like it's the people it's the scientists who are using faith in action. You get? So that's my take on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda.
You.
Great response. I had Jim, but I would go to John. Dorcas would forgive me. I'll like to introduce part 5, then I'll let you go on, because I know once we release you out of the block, there's no holding you back. Same as Lucheveleli. So John, go ahead. Muruki, I know he has something short to ask, and then I'll introduce part 5, and then I'll bring everything around everything home, using the discussion subtopic of part 5. So just be patient with me, guys. I actually anticipated that this discussion question would go on for long because it's philosophical in nature. So bear with me.
Okay.
John?
Thank you. I have 3 short points to put across. First, the word faith in science is a misuse of the word faith. Faith involves believing without appealing to the senses. That is not seeing, hearing, smelling, all that. That is faith. But in science, it's mainly logic, factual and factual. Second, whatever Dorcas was saying, and whatever Amanda was saying about the placebo effect in medicine, that's not faith. Some medicines, even if you take them unknowingly, you will get the effect. So that's not faith. That's actually, they are factual, what they are meant for. Thirdly, what Dorcas was saying, if you are sitting on a chair, that you have faith that it will not fall down. That's not faith. That's surety. This chair is very strong. I have pushed it. I have tested it. It's very strong. I cannot fall down. That's not faith. That's surety. So the use of the word faith in science, that is misuse of the word. Science and faith doesn't go hand in hand. Thank you.
Okay, John. For those who hold the similar view to John, what about the physicists? What about the engineers who who have worked out the theoretical demands of maybe a project in physics, and now it's all about practical application? Why do they test it? Why do they do the provisionals? I mean, isn't that faith? Isn't it? I mean, if I make some calculation and I'm sure or I'm hopeful that if I do this, the bridge will hold a certain number of weight. Isn't that faith? So that's food for thought. So the last topic, part 5. Part 5 is more or less a personal stake question. That's what I would say. It's more or less a personal stake question. Why should we care about other people's beliefs? Why? I mean, I don't believe in what maybe Dorcas Soita believes in, or I don't believe in the God of Dorcas Soita. Why should I care? Why? Why can't I just let it go? Why can't I just let it rest? Why does it bother me? Does it affect me in my life? Do the decisions I make affect me? Do those decisions that those religious guys make affect me, or does their actions let's say implicate my actions? And I would say this: beliefs are not harmless private thoughts. Those people who say believe what you want, it's my belief, it's your belief, just believe what you want. You should be careful with those people. Those are psychopaths. Yeah, you should be careful with those people, psychopaths and sociopaths. Yeah. Why should I not care? What is it that you're believing that I shouldn't care about? And we're living in a society. So beliefs are not harmless private thoughts. They inform actions, policies, and societal well-being. More so in our context, we're in East Africa, which is predominantly a religious region. I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, if we look at our country, we have a president who prays for rains instead of thinking about irrigation schemes. So, I mean, if you have a guy that claims to be a doctor in philosophy and doesn't know basic geography, I mean, you see, religion does wonders. People say religion does wonders. It really does. So, Why should an individual care if their neighbor holds a false belief as long as it doesn't directly harm them? Is there a civic or ethical responsibility to promote justified beliefs over unjustified ones? So I'll put it to you guys. Is there a civic or ethical responsibility to promote justified beliefs over unjustified ones? And this is more so on consequences of false beliefs. Why should I care? I'll let Muriuki answer. Go first. Ndeve, you can follow, and then Dorcas, I'll have you third.
Thanks, Nikki. I think if my neighbor is a believer and the pastor isn't conning them of money, if they're not being conned by pastors, being tricked by pastors, they're just being good morally, I'm okay. But if you're being conned by your pastor, then there's a problem. Then I'll say something controversial. I think in the real world, there's no faith. We need works, not faith. Just because faith does nothing. Put in the action and make things happen. Faith, to me, is not real. Then also, Dorcas, you can't compare a chair with God, because the chair can be seen. Like I think Amanda said so. Even John, a chair can be seen, God can be seen. Then also, this ulcers. At that time, when they believed that stress causes ulcers, at that time, was it knowledge? When they believed it was because of stress, was it knowledge or something else? What's the word for it that time? Was it knowledge or something else? Thanks.
Great point, Muriuki. More so your last question. Great point. If I may remove some of I would say this, Muriuki. Maybe you should look at, like Amanda said, it's a more or less a question of language. Not so it's a question of language. So and what I would say is faith is a phenomenon. Just by it not working for you doesn't mean it's not there. It's there. Maybe it doesn't work for you, but it's still there. It's like those people who are in the desert. The rain doesn't come, but the rain is there. You see? So maybe you should look at that. On the question of Dorcas and the chair, I think she was talking about the functionality of it, not more so the literal definition. She was talking about the functionality. So I would say I said Ndeve would go next. So Ndeve, you could answer, and then Dorcas.
Thank you. Nikki, the chair, and Dorcas, we go and sit on a chair without question. Why? Because we sit on chairs all the time and they support us. That's how we say. The bridge, you get into SGR and you know all the bridges. If there are bridges, or the old railway line had a lot of bridges. And it crossed those bridges for almost 100 years. We did not have faith. We knew. We knew it because some white lab coat somewhere designed it, designed the chair, designed the bridges that we cross, and we knew that they did a good design because for years it kept doing that. Faith was not part of it. So that is what I can say. It's the same thing with medicine. Aspirin, even the time it was called MB. Dr. Chevarelli is too young to have tried MB. May and Becker, it was a chemical company. It still worked, whatever name the chemicals worked, because the knowledge that went in it said that it will work. We do the same thing to go to Mars and to go to the moon. We do the same technology. We don't have faith. We don't have faith that it will take off from Cape Canaveral and get to the moon. No, because we've done it before. That is the same problem with God. But maybe it is not the problem with God. It is probably the problem with the theists. The Bible tells them faith without works is dead. I think faith with works is knowledge. The same, yeah. Faith, put some works in faith, and then we stop calling it faith. We just call it knowledge. So I think that probably it is the these that are wrong. They have been told faith without works is dead. Show me the works, and I'll not bother with the faith. I'll just tell you, I know. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ndeva. Dorcas, and Dorcas, I need you to be economical because there are so many hands, and I need to get to them before time stretches out.
Okay, I hear you. And in fact, the clock is ticking. We are already 24 minutes past our official end time. Our admin said we get a buffer of additional time if the topic is interesting, but let's not stretch it too much. We've established that people tend to zone out after 2 hours. So I'll make it quick. The first question you posed is on faith without action being dead. The fact that believers hold that view to you is a sign that they see something that we don't, or they're not as as ignorant as we paint them out to be. But you see, that statement in and of itself nullifies faith. The faith, as I said previously, faith has two definitions. The first definition is complete trust or confidence in something, and that is colloquial. It can be applied anywhere. And then the second definition of faith is strong belief in the doctrines of a religion without proof. It must not have proof. The moment it does not have proof, now it falls into that category of religious faith. And that's the kind of faith that is useless. Our world does not need religious faith. We gain nothing from religious faith because it's not founded on proof. It's just based on some spiritual conviction. So in that respect, they are showing that faith is dead. If it needs action, they don't have confidence in the very tenets of their belief system. And to add to that, the Bible often contains very many contradictory things. And this is why I have a problem with it and many other holy texts, because the same Bible, besides saying faith without action is dead, it also says faith the size of a mustard seed moves mountains. So one believer can focus on that one. And they might be presented with a problem, they might fall sick, and they decide, I am going to believe that my faith is greater than a mustard seed and I won't go to the hospital. And they end up dying because of that same Bible. This is why it is so problematic, and this is why we are always calling it out. The other point I wanted to make is on our position as atheists. You asked us, are we being dogmatic? Are we being closed-minded as atheists? Do we constantly question our position? Do we look at new emerging evidence or new arguments against atheism? And my answer is yes. If there are people who are constantly examining their positions, it is skeptics. I consider myself to be a skeptic besides being an atheist. The skepticism is what led to my atheism. And I'm constantly interfacing with arguments presented by believers. I remember Alex O'Connor was talking about this when people were calling him out and saying he's becoming soft. Is he turning to a Christian? Is he going to reconvert or what? And he was saying that he's learning a lot about religion. He's realized that it has a lot of utility in the world, and there are also certain arguments, certain philosophical arguments for intelligent design which he has come across. And I think Perhaps this is unique to Alex O'Connor because maybe he did not have a long deconversion process. I did. Let me tell you, I interacted with each of those arguments. I kept asking myself, but religion is so useful. It has built mission schools and hospitals. But there are people who have changed their behavior. They said they were drug addicts and now they are no longer drug addicts when they got saved, when they gave their life to Jesus. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that proof that it is true? It is not. That's an argument from usefulness. Anything can be useful, even if it is false. We've already come across these ideas. We come across these arguments. Most of the time, they are not new. Every week, I tell you guys, I talk to believers about my non-belief. I'm always debating people, and there's nothing new. There's nothing. I'm out there. I'm waiting. The moment somebody presents evidence, just like that, I'll stop being an atheist. But as per now, I have not found any. Now, on this aspect of why should we care, you are spot on, Mr. Moderator. I think you should care when people believe false beliefs because of the impact that it has on you as a minority. Because often you may find that false beliefs are pervasive, and the ones that believe something true are the minority. So you are affected by those false beliefs, politically, socially, economically, and also because you care about humans. We can't just live and let live. When we see that because of faith healing, the prophet wars of this world, or those many Pentecostal churches, the Pastor Canyaris and what have you, they say that you will be healed from cancer. Come here to my church and I will pray for you. The person discontinues treatment. They undergo continuous suffering, or they even die because of their false belief. I don't want my loved one to go through that. When I see cult deaths, when I see terrorism happening because of that false belief of religion, I have to call it out. When I see anti-vaxxers rising in society, by the way, here in Kenya, there's a new trend of anti-vaccine that's going on, courtesy of TikTok. So I was listening to Kenyan Watchdog. I know I'm talking too much. I'm about to finish. This is my last point. This guy called Truth Watchdog on TikTok. He was saying how there's this conspiracy by Bill Gates to make Africans infertile. And as I was reading the comments, thousands of them, it had almost 500,000 views, that video. People were saying, me, I won't take my kid to be vaccinated. CG for polio, CG for measles, I won't take them. You see, those false ideas are going to make diseases that we had eradicated come to become pervasive again, and people are going to suffer because of that false idea. We have to call it out. We have to care because it affects us. And of course, there was that aspect of the political dimension. I think I'll let somebody else talk about it since I've spoken so much. But we have to call out false ideas. Religion is top among them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorcas. I don't know who to pick. Okay.
You picked me.
Well, yeah. John, just wait. I'm looking for the latecomers. I want to give them a chance first. So I'll give Were the floor, and then Luce Vileli, you can go. John, and then Amanda.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. I will only answer the last part that even though ignorance is a human right, we have a role as atheists to also preach the gospel to the atheist people, because Dorcas has touched on the other aspects, but I will major on political aspect, whereby in the Kenyan case, for example, we are failing because of this theism. That instead of making our leaders accountable, in cases where we have disasters, we have a national prayer day, where we host religious people to come and pray for the problems that if we were all having rational thoughts, which of course comes from not from religious dogma, we should be able to we should be able to hold these politicians accountable. So I think we have a big role to play, that we should not just let religious dogma flow as we watch, because even if we fail, the same dogma will be indoctrinated to the coming generation. So we have a very big role to play. Thank you.
Thank you, Were. And on that question, I hope members are listening. On that question, wouldn't that make us the thing we hate? Like when we hate being told by the religious or the theists on this is wrong, this is what. Why should we care? Again, that's my question. Why can't we just let the world burn and uh, let them we let them prove that their position is false and actually destructive? Why can't we just let the world burn? Why should we care? Yes.
Nick, remember that
Yes.
we don't live in isolation. We interact with the people from all corners, with people from different different ideologies. So we also have a role because of this interaction. I think we have a big role to play.
Thank you, Ere. Thank you, Ere. Nice response, Amanda. Before Amanda, I'll let Lucevileli go. Lucevileli, I know you and you know yourself, so please keep it short. Yeah, let Amanda go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Nick. Yeah. So I was first to respond to Muriuki's question before I start to give my own input. I think Muriuki had asked, what was the world believing in before they knew that bacteria, causes ulcers, right? Yeah. So when it comes to ulcers, it has very many causes. It's not that stress or psychological stress is not one of them, but it's a risk factor, yes. But at the world back then, it was only adamant to, to change their mindset to other causes. So they had only stuck with stress. If you get stressed, you get ulcers, and we still have the same mindset. When you get stressed, you will find any person telling you that don't be stressed, you want ulcers, you'll get them. Yes, you might get them, but it's not a guaranteed. What has been proven is that the bacteria causes the ulcers. But the guy back then, he was actually being bashed. He was even being called a pseudoscientist, and he was just a doctor, just doing his curiosity works. Yeah. But yeah, that's what really happened. Now, when it comes to faith, and I think Dorcas had actually tried to distinguish the two variants of faith. We had the blind faith that religion works with, and we have provisional faith, aka trust, that science needs. Now, to say that science doesn't need this provisional faith or trust, it doesn't make sense, because when you look at even the process of peer review, you would actually say a study works if it has been peer reviewed, because you trust the people who peer reviewed it. You see, it's a little bit of provision. We call it provisional faith because it's not blind faith. It actually relies on something, on a backing, on evidence. If someone or a group of qualified people actually took the time to sit down, go through it, verify everything, retest it. So you right there, you don't have the time to do all that, because number one, you're not a scientist yourself, you're not a researcher, but you have to trust them to see it works, and it actually works. That's why we have working medicines and all that. Now, when it comes to the issue of placebos, placebo is actually a very interesting thing in medicine, and we know that because we've seen how it works. It doesn't really produce cures, but it helps to alleviate symptoms. For instance, if it's pain, if it's nausea, and you give someone a medication that's not really supposed to work in the scientific way, but they just have a trust that it works, it actually helps to alleviate. And that's because, you see, the brain is weird, the brain is funny. Even if we talk about faith being something intangible or a belief, it actually affects the brain area. It's something known as the hypothalamus. That's the brain center. And it actually produces these wonderful hormones that actually produce healing because they're affected by your beliefs, your faith. So if you go to a hospital and you don't trust the doctors, it has been shown that it will even affect your recovery time. The time you're supposed to be in bed, if it's, for example, a week and you're skeptic, you don't trust the science there or the medics there. Studies have shown that there may be a delay in the time, but if you have a mindset, because the trick is the brain center, the hypothalamus, it actually works when it's actually affected by your beliefs and faith. In as much as we know faith, it doesn't really move mountains and all that. But what matters is what does faith do to that hypothalamus to produce these wonderful chemicals or the hormones that actually produce recovery. Yeah. Now, when it comes to why I should care about what people believe, I should definitely care, because that's how you end up with people passing laws and you wonder how do these laws work. For instance, when you look at Florida, they are actually starting to ban some of the primary vaccines, and that's the polio vaccine, that's the pneumococcal vaccine. So you can imagine if you are a resident in Florida and you know for a fact that vaccines work, and the whole county doesn't want, or the whole county is headed by a pseudoscientific governor who doesn't trust the vaccines. So it's you and your kids will actually pay for it, because you actually let that person, that pseudoscientific person, or that person who has weird belief systems, to make laws, and they will pass the laws that will affect you one way or another. That's also why we had witch hunts, because we had people who had silly beliefs in power, so they pass laws just like that. And those laws, you forget that they will affect you in one way or another. So you should care. And even before I finish about that, when it comes to the same people, even the rise of the anti-vaxxers, yes, in as much as we can fault them because they are doing the way they are, we might tend to forget that perhaps maybe we had something to do that enabled them to be there. For instance, when you look at how our government worked, when we had the issue of vaccinating our cattle, there's something known as civic education. You have to make someone understand why you're doing what you're doing, because yes, resistance is actually human. You can't come to anyone and then with your vaccines or your injections, and you want them to say yes, to willingly throw themselves to you because you want to cure them without explaining the process. So there will be some resistance. And when you look at how our government works, it doesn't give time to educate the masses how it works, why it works, and why they need it. So even when you look at the new vaccines we had actually incorporated into our schedule, the typhoid vaccines, the public was not adequately educated about it. Many people don't even know it's there, we have it. But you will hear someone telling you that take your kid and get them vaccinated, because no one gives a damn to educate the masses why it's getting done. So you shouldn't be shocked when you find that there is a wave of people look like anti-vaxxers, that they are skeptical, because as you've said, skepticism is actually a useful tool, but it can work the other way around. If number one, people don't have enough knowledge, they will be skeptical about everything, even what's important, what they need. So I think on our end, and even the government's end, we should be agents of disseminating this information, breaking it down, making people understand. That's one of the ways we will actually be approaching. We will actually be mitigating this rise of anti-intellectualism and pseudoscience and anti-vaxxers and all that scenarios. Yeah. So that's all I can say about it.
Thanks, Eugene. Amanda?
Well, I think he has said everything. If I said so much, I'll be repeating myself. Okay, no, not repeating myself, repeating what he just said, like reiterating. But I think he said everything I wanted to say, because it affects you whether you believe it or not. Whether you believe or not, we should care about it, because it affects us in so many ways. The way he's explained, like people are passing laws, the other day somebody wanted, like, people are making other people's lives very difficult because of just beliefs. The other day somebody wanted to pass laws to stop what in the US. Are they going to stop abortion? They're going to stop so many things, and it's like, because of a belief, they believe that God says, oh, sijui nini. It's just a belief. Come on. What if somebody is going, what if somebody has been raped? What if somebody is not going to be a good mother? You're going to just take that person through all that to just because God said, because you believe God. It doesn't make any sense. So it affects people. People with beliefs make decisions that affect all of us, and that's why we should care, because it doesn't just affect them alone. So yeah, I think we should care and a lot. Like, yeah.
Thank you so much, Amanda. John, I have you last.
Okay, thank you. I've been really patient, but finally I'm here. Okay, they do say faith without action is dead, and I do say action without faith is very viable and very lively. So I don't see the importance of faith in our lives. We need actions, just the way Muriku said. Aya. Back to your question, why we should care about other people's religion. Maurice, you are distracting me in a way. Why we should care about other people's religions? Because their beliefs or their faith sometimes directly affect us. In one of the books of some of the people, there is a verse in one of the religious books written, if anybody tries to tell you about other God or tries to stop you from worshiping your God, whether it's your mother, your sibling, your brother, you should surely kill them. So you see, such like teachings really affects us. That's why we should care, because if you don't care, one day you wake up and find you are all slaughtered. Thank you.
Okay, interesting. So I would, I say Amanda and Dorcas's hand up. I would really want to finish this in before 11. Amanda and Dorcas, I'll give you a minute each. Then I'll have my final comments, and then we'll let anyone else who has something to say take you, and then we finish. So Dorcas, you have a minute.
Nikki, Maurice hand, I think is up.
He hasn't raised his hand up, so maybe he just wants us to know where he is and what he's doing. If
Maybe
he
he's
wants to
enjoying.
talk,
Okay.
he'll just raise his hand up.
Maurice, do you want to say something? No, he has waved. He has waved. Now, I just needed to add two more points on why we should care, because I thought it was pertinent to our discussion. And yeah, Otieno, you are right. Maurice is so distracting. Uko na kamrembo leo. Wacha tu. It's Saturday night. For sure. So we should care because their false beliefs affect us. One way we have been directly affected as atheists is via our registration. I think there have been problems for us. We've been doing this for the past 2 years, and we have not been successful because we hit a dead end. The last time they said that they had taken the names of the officials to DCI, not DCI, sorry, NIS, and that's the National Intelligence Service for the non-Kenyans here. And they're supposed to vet us in order. Oy.
Dorcas, is your connection? Mm-hmm. I think Dorcas' connection is faulty. Anyone else want to say something? Rachel, you haven't said anything. You want to add on something? Ndeve, I need to hear your voice before I go to sleep. I don't know why. Say something. Amanda, would you like to have the last word?
Oh no, I'm just concerned about Dorcas. Is she okay? Can we text her and find out if she's okay? Let me text her. Like I'm so I don't know. I maybe I just got something. She said "boy" when she left. I'm kind of worried. I'm like, she's she okay?
Don't worry about her. It's her bundles that are finished. Don't worry about
Okay.
her.
Okay. So I was worried. I was worried for real. But anyway, okay. Let me just text her. Is she okay? Anyway, thanks for tonight's discussion. I'm glad I joined. It was awesome and I learned a lot. I'm definitely going to do some soul searching as well and ask myself some tough questions and see if maybe what is it called? I'm biased, which I don't think I am, but maybe I am. So thanks for tonight. It's been awesome. I hope you guys are well too. So yeah.
Thanks, Amanda, for the energy. Yeah, we are. Morris
Awesome.
definitely is. Utevileli?
Yeah, I was actually concerned about Boris. It looks like Akomali Kunajua, like it's daylight in where he is, I think, or is it light? I think he's not even in the country. So I was wondering if he's somewhere like Israel. But that said, also I had actually remembered the point you said if we are actually skeptical about our position. Myself as a Gnostic atheist, I haven't found anything that has questioned my Gnostic atheism, like the possibility of any gods. However, I came across a very weird argument, but again, it still backs on the pocket of human ignorance, like where they say that the whole universe might be inside of a black hole. We don't know if it is, we don't know if it's not. So some religious folks might be saying that, you know what if God exists outside this black hole and we don't have any way of finding out? So, and it still boils down to the logical argument. It's illogical because if something is outside our space and time, how does it interact with us? Like, it doesn't make any sense. If it doesn't exist to us, we shouldn't be existing to it as well. So, but yes, I haven't really found any convincing information to make me doubt my Gnostic stance as well. And if I do, I will let you know. But I'm not expecting it anytime soon. Perhaps I will die in this position.
Thank you, Luchevilele. Always a pleasure. Deve?
Yeah, sorry, I know I heard you, but I was at the door. I couldn't do anything about it. For me, my stance is informed by the fact that each society or group of people seem to have a God, to have created a God that looks very much like them. Warlike people have got warlike gods. Peaceful people have got peaceful gods. So to me, that's why it seems like if I were to have faith in a God, that God might look a lot like me. That is very suspicious. So that is what my problem is. That if I were to believe in a God or to create a God, that God would be very much like me. And I would challenge you all to listen to Christians or Muslims, and you will see the character of the person coming out from their belief. You will be very, very surprised that those people who are vindictive, they also have a very vindictive God. Those people who are hateful, they will even tell you that God, God is going to get you, or this, or this. You will listen to it and you think, wow, that God looks very much like you. So I am thinking that is why I kind of avoid a God, because that God would be too much like me. And I think I would not like something that looks so much like me and then I call it a God. I thank you. And it was really a wonderful conversation. I know I'm always a little bit about philosophy, but it was a really good conversation. I was only afraid when Nikki wanted to take marks from all of us for not answering questions right. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. David, I always enjoy having you around when I'm discussing philosophy. I don't know. We should side chat maybe on WhatsApp. I give you a few pointers to look for so that next time it won't be that difficult. Yeah, Muriuki.
Just one sentence. Man made God. Simple. Man made God in his image. Thanks.
Well, Muriuki, I don't know how that helps our discussion, but yeah, great shout.
Yeah. Yeah, God,
El Maestro.
I mean, God should show himself. God has to show himself for ourselves. He has to appear for us to believe. He has to appear.
Okay, noted. El Maestro.
Well, I can see some faces I never expected to see in the meeting today, but I don't know what you've the points you've given, but my hot take on my hot take on this thing is about this information about religion is, I think we'll be a more peaceful continent. Africa will be a more peaceful continent if we were colonized by the Chinese or Japanese, because the Buddhists gods are somehow more calm than the biblical one and the Abrahamic one. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay. I think I'm having the last word. I would like to thank everyone that made time for the discussion. Special shout out to Bolelang. I know you're tuning in from down south. And Deve as well. Thank you for your participation from the Northern Hemisphere. Thanks, Bolaleng, for the wave. For those ones who've joined us during the discussion, I hope you might get the full video when it's uploaded on YouTube. I would say I have enjoyed moderating this discussion as always. It's always my pleasure to do this for you guys. I hope more will come. Looking forward to the party and Stano, if maybe you could we could have a call after. I would like to let you know on something. Yeah. Thank you guys for showing up. I hope you have a great evening. Leave the floor to Stano, and then he'll finish up.
Okay, thank you. So I think Dorocas is the one to end the meeting, or MJ.
Oh,
Let
she
MJ
said,
have it then.
okay.
Yeah, Amanda.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say that she said it's her charge, so maybe you can just end it. It's her laptop. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think MJ is in a position
Okay.
to close the meeting. So Stano,
So it's fine then.
you might do the honors.
Oh, I can see I'm the host now. I have proclaimed the host. So thank you all for that. I think it was very interesting topic. And I think we can all repeat a topic like this maybe on TikTok to try to attract the Gen Z there and the other people. So I think we will look for a day that we will have live on TikTok so that we may able even to share our idea there. Thank you all for your great support.
Okay. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody. Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.